a drill bit so dull that it seemed fit only for the trash. Looking at its completely worn cutting edges, anyone would assume it had reached the end of its life. To prove it, I installed the bit in my drill and tested it on a workpiece as usual. Just as expected, the bit spun rapidly and produced a loud, screeching noise, but it barely cut into the material at all. My first thought was to throw it away and buy a new one. Then I paused and wondered if there might still be a way to bring it back to life. After thinking for a few minutes, I decided to try a simple trick using a small piece of PVC plastic, something that most people would never think to use. It may seem ordinary, but this small piece of PVC plays a surprisingly important role in the restoration process. I and Oppos LL use it to help align and support the drill bit during a unique repair method before moving on to the next steps. Can a drill bit that seems completely worn out perform almost like new again with this simple DIY trick? Stay with me until the end to see the entire process and the impressive final result. Where are you watching from? Let me know your country in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. With the PVC piece ready, I carefully measured everything to ensure accurate dimensions. Using a ruler, I marked each cutting line to minimize mistakes and make the following steps much easier. Once I confirmed the measurements, I trimmed away all the unnecessary material, leaving only the section needed for the project. However, the work didn't end Oppos. Stop there. The freshly cut edges were still rough and sharp, so I used sandpaper to smooth each side until the surface became clean and even. This simple step not only improves the overall appearance of the finished piece, but also helps the parts fit together more precisely during the next stages of the build. After finishing the cutting and trimming, I carefully measured and marked the exact drilling points before drilling 2 evenly spaced holes. This step requires precision because even a slight misalignment can affect everything that follows. Once the 2 holes were completed, I moved on to the most important part of the project. Using a blowtorch, I heated a screwdriver and then pressed it against the PVC piece to form a clean 90-degree angle. With just the right amount of heat, the PVC softened and was easy to shape without cracking or deforming. I'm pretty sure most people would never think of using a heated screwdriver this way. If you and Oppos seen or used this trick before, let me know in the comments below. It and Oppos a simple but highly effective DIY technique that helps create a much more accurate and professional-looking result. After completing the 90-degree bend, I firmly clamped the PVC piece in a vise to keep it from moving during the next steps. Then, using a hacksaw blade, I carefully cut 2 parallel lines to create a groove that matched my marked dimensions. This step requires patience and precision because if the groove is even slightly too wide or too narrow, it can affect the fit of the final assembly. Once the groove was finished, I placed the PVC piece onto the body of the angle grinder, which had already been securely fixed in place. I then used a marker to carefully mark the exact drilling position, ensuring the hole would be perfectly centered and aligned with the grinder and Oppos structure. After that, I drilled the hole slowly and carefully, taking my time to achieve the highest possible accuracy. At this point, many of you are probably wondering why I and Oppos am spending so much time working on such a small piece of PVC. Keep watching closely, because this simple-looking part will become the most important component of today and Oppos' DIY project. Once everything is assembled, you and Oppos LL understand why I chose not to buy a new drill bit and instead turned a discarded piece of PVC into the key to this repair. Have you subscribed to my channel yet? If not, Please subscribe to support my channel and stay tuned for more practical DIY tips. After completing the holes and grooves, I firmly mounted the PVC guide onto the body of the angle grinder. I carefully checked every connection to make sure everything fit perfectly, with no movement that could affect the grinding accuracy. Next came the most important step of the entire build. I placed a utility knife blade against the surface of the grinding disc as a simple reference guide, then carefully marked the position to create an accurate 45-degree grinding angle. It and oppose. It's a surprisingly simple trick, but it allows for precise alignment without the need for expensive measuring tools. Even a few degrees of error can leave the drill bit uneven and significantly reduce its cutting performance. After double-checking all the markings, I tightened everything securely. At this point, my homemade PVC grinding guide was finally complete. Now came the most exciting moment. I switched on the angle grinder, and the steady hum of the motor blended with the bright shower of sparks as the dull drill bit touched the grinding wheel. It was a satisfying moment that every DIY enthusiast would appreciate. After only a short time, the worn cutting edges had been restored, looking sharp once again. To put it to the test, I drilled through a steel plate, and the bit cut smoothly with almost no effort. If you saw the result, you would probably think I had bought a brand new drill bit. But the truth is it was simply brought back to life with a homemade PVC guide and a little creativity. That brings this video to an end. What do you think of my DIY invention? How would you rate it? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this project, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends.